Hi Appleberries! Welcome to our 5th IRL or Mental Health in Real Life episode. Coach Mika, Coach Kyra, and I will be attempting to debunk 15 misconceptions about mental health. But first, allow us to introduce ourselves. I am Venice, a mental health coach from Appleberry Mental Health. I finished a bachelor's degree in psychology at DLSU and I have recently acquired a license as a psychometrician. As a mental health coach and advocate, my aim is to accompany people in reaching a level of understanding about themselves and to help them develop acceptance for who they are, regardless of their identity and experiences.
Hi everyone, I'm Coach Mika. I am a mental health associate at Appleberry. I am currently taking my master's degree in guidance and counseling, and I am a self-care advocate.
Hi everyone, I'm Coach Kyra, a mental health coach from Appleberry, and I'm a licensed psychometrician. I'm an advocate of wanting others to be listened to and being empathetic towards each other. Without further ado, let's begin debunking mental health myths.
This video contains discussions and depictions of abuse, suicide, and other mental health struggles which may be triggering or cause discomfort to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. A person who has mental health problems is weak-minded. This is definitely one of the things that perpetuate the stigma that has always been attached to mental health. I myself had held this notion before, even, especially when I was still not educated about this matter. And I know that many people generally have this notion wherein those who struggle with mental health issues are weak. Of course, this is definitely not true and it's more or less a stereotype. The thing is, we as human beings are diverse and complex. There's no point in making baseless assumptions and hasty generalizations about a person or a group of people. So pushing this kind of thinking will do more harm than good.
Okay, so mental health problems have nothing to do with being weak-minded. We all have the capability, the capacity, the ability to become stronger and better individuals. We all struggle differently. We can always address where we can grow and where we can improve as well.
No, we should stop thinking that having mental health problems is a sign of weakness. It actually isn't. This is a sign of strength actually. Like, you have more hurdles. It wasn't what you wanted and it wasn't your choice. Yet, you're still going. You're still continuing to live on. Mental illnesses are mainly caused by traumatic childhood experiences. No, there are different possible reasons on why one could have a mental illness. It's not solely because of childhood experiences. One could have a mental illness caused in the present.
We really need to drop this old-fashioned idea that, people who struggle with mental health issues or those with mental illnesses have experienced traumatic events in their childhood. The causes or the etiology of mental illnesses are much more complex than our initial assumptions. So, for example, the diathesis stress model is a concept applied in abnormal psychology in order to, explain the mechanism behind the causes of mental illnesses. And this model suggests that people with certain vulnerabilities, may they be biological or sociocultural in nature, would be more susceptible to developing mental disorders when triggered by precipitating factors or unique combinations of triggers. For instance, a person may have gone through abuse in their childhood, but they may have innate traits that allow them to be resilient to situations such as this. And on the other hand, a person may have not experienced trauma as a child, but they may possess neurotic traits that may make them even more susceptible to mental health problems.
Okay, so mental health illnesses are not really caused by traumatic childhood experiences because they vary. We have inherited traits like it could be traced from genetics, or we could have it from exposures before birth, like someone who's taking alcohol or drugs or other toxins, anything while being in the womb. We also have brain chemistry, and it could also be caused by life experiences such as trauma or abuse.
Only people with mental health issues need therapy. Now is probably the time to discard this idea that you need to have mental health issues or be suspected of having a disorder to be able to get therapy. The thing is, there are different types of therapy for different kinds of people and concerns. It's definitely not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing as well, because there are also preventive measures in therapy that would help a well to moderately adjusted individuals to maintain their well-being and employ alternative and healthier coping mechanisms.
Everyone can benefit from therapy. This is to help them in promoting their well-being and improving their mental health, just like how everyone goes under the process of taking care of their own physical health. So many people actually look for therapy with concerns such as changes in job or difficulty in marriages or family difficulties, and yeah.
No, anyone can have therapy the same way anyone can have checkups, tests, advice from physicians.
Our mental health consists of our emotional, our psychological, and social well-being. So, being mentally healthy doesn't mean that you lack problems, that you lack issues or challenges or anything. Or it doesn't mean that you lack the absence of mental health or the absence of mental illness.
Being mentally healthy does not mean we are free from mental health problems or any other problems for that matter. To be mentally healthy is to be equipped with several coping strategies, specifically cognitive and behavioral strategies, in order to become more adjusted, to become more adaptable and functional.
You aren't free from anything, meaning even if you have a better mental health than most, it doesn't mean that you won't experience any mental and or psychological problems. It may just mean that you would be able to cope better than some, but you may still experience mental and or psychological problems.
When we say that the goal of therapy is to cure a person's mental illness, it's not exactly like that. It is to help you become more understanding of your feelings in the context of your past experiences. It's also a more better way to help you manage and go through life or go through with life.
Since there are different types of therapies, each therapy has different objectives depending on the theoretical dimension they are anchored on. But generally, the goal of psychological interventions is not necessarily to cure someone. More often than not, the primary goal is to reduce the symptoms or to make these symptoms more manageable by utilizing a variety of strategies depending on the concern.
The goal is more of helping the individual understand and manage the difficulties or challenges they experience in life, learning how to cope healthily, developing healthy coping mechanisms, find ways on reducing anxiety, and help in building self-esteem.
Emotions, whether positive or negative, should not be suppressed, okay? Instead, we must learn how to process and regulate these emotions in a healthy manner. For example, being angry is not necessarily a bad thing. However, our mode of expression requires proper monitoring. So the point is, suppression of emotions is not ideal. Instead, we must learn how to regulate them and learn to transform them into a meaningful or productive or fruitful experience.
So we all know that sadness and anger are very difficult and very unpleasant to experience in our lives, right? But suppressing these emotions, suppressing anger and sadness can result to unhealthy behavior. So instead, you can try to work toward becoming more aware of yourself or more attuned to your emotions with healthier methods such as working out, expressing anger, and expressing sadness through journaling, meditation, and the like.
Emotions are normal for human beings. It is what makes us human. So, if you don't have any emotions, are you even human?
Regardless of what role you're playing, enforcing advice on a person, especially biased ones, may not necessarily help them deal with their struggles. Because more often than not, the best we could offer is to lend an ear and refrain from invalidating their struggles. I guess what we can do is that we may respectfully recommend them to get professional help to further validate their struggles. But what's really important is that we are aware of our limitations in situations such as this, yet still be helpful within our capabilities, of course.
Okay, so when we deal with someone with mental health problems, right off the bat, we think that we want to give them advice and all those things, right? But it's important that when we talk to these people who are suffering or who have mental health problems, we have to provide them like an open space or a more non-judgmental space where they can really express or share their own feelings and at their own pace, right? Where we get to really listen to them, where they do most of the talking if they can. But all in all, it's more of giving them a safe space rather than us thinking and giving advices.
Oftentimes, people don't need advice. Gusto lang nila na may nakikinig. Knowing that someone is willing to listen to them is more than enough.
A person who wishes to end their life is selfish and cowardly. Oh boy, this is probably one of the many harmful beliefs that a lot of people still hold on to this day. People with suicidal ideation and or intentions are not selfish nor cowardly. But given the complexity of human beings and life itself, it is safe to assume that we can never accurately grasp what others are thinking, what others are feeling and experiencing unless we place ourselves in their situation. And as someone with a history of suicidal ideation, intention, and attempt, well, I know for a fact that it pained me so much to think of hurting my loved ones if I were to succeed in ending my life. The goal, of course, was really not to find a shortcut, but rather to simply end the seemingly inescapable misery. And you know, the pain and the struggles of all the people who cannot find a reason to move forward are nuanced and subject to their personal experiences.
So, more often than not, those who wish to end their life typically do not want to die. They wish for a better and unbearable emotional pain. They would like to feel more alive rather than experience all these pains and negative emotions. So if we say this to someone who wishes to end their life, it does not really inspire them. It does not really give them the courage to live more, right? But instead, it might make them feel more worse or make them feel guilty. So we really have to understand that it's not their choice to feel that way. Their feelings are a symptom of their own mental illness.
Rather than focusing on them wanting to end their life, it's best to focus on why. What led them to think of such? Listen to their answers. Maybe they just want someone to listen or be there for them actually. Or you may even help them find ways to cope healthily.
I don't think that this is something that they can control to do. People who are neurodivergent often often need some sort of routine and structure. Therefore, accommodating them for their needs would be very helpful.
It's better to accept neurodivergent people and to accommodate to their needs. What most may not understand is that they can be neurodivergent while still be able to adapt. It's best to be patient and understanding with them.
I'm pretty sure that this stems from our society's lack of tolerance to those who do not conform to the conventional standards or the norm. And as we observe through time, that social constructs are continuously being reshaped and redefined. And with the help of research and education, we are slowly welcoming neurodiversity and allowing neurodivergent people to express who they are with no shame and no repercussions. So, neurodivergent people should not be forced to act the same way neurotypicals do to deal with the ongoing demands of our society. And of course, providing accommodation for their needs is also not necessarily a bad thing. It just simply means that it is a gesture to acknowledge their unique struggles and needs.
When a person shares their struggles, saying that other people have it worse will help alleviate their suffering. Definitely not. Actually, this will invalidate their feelings. Tapos, dapat ka bang matuwa na may nasihirapan pa kasi sa'yo? There's no need to compare one's experience to another. All of us are struggling, are having difficulties.
This can also be associated with the other myth mentioned earlier. When dealing with a person with mental health problems, the goal is to give as much advice as we can, which, I've debunked earlier. Comparing struggles could actually diminish and invalidate what they are feeling about their own mental health issues, which in turn could lead to the complete invalidation and disregard of their own struggles.
Okay, so sometimes it can be hard to really understand someone who's going through a mental health concern or mental health issues because maybe we may never have experienced that. But when you compare other people's problems to their own personal problems, it's like you are making them feel smaller, or you are kind of belittling them, belittling their experiences. And when you say that other people have it worse than them, no? So just chill, diba? It may make them feel worse, or it may cause them to feel a little bit guilty.
Depression can happen anytime in our lifetime. And it's not moving on from depression. It's more of learning how to cope or overcome depression. Para sa akin kasi, if you say that you try to move on agad, it's like you haven't really assessed your situation or your feelings, your thoughts. And, you just try to go on with your life without realizing that kung hindi natin assess yung situation natin or yung feelings na to, babalik din tayo dito sa nararamdaman natin. Just take time to acknowledge what you're feeling, your situation.
Depression is more than just a phase or a feeling. It can manifest in different forms and degrees of severity, and it's regarded as a clinical condition that definitely requires medical attention. Depression is never just a fleeting emotion because it clearly has a prolonged impact on the cognition and the behavior of a person as well.
Maybe because we didn't, or other people, or you might not have undergone depression, so it's easy for you to say that, to move on, right? But depression is a very complex mental health disorder that can be from social, psychological, biological origins. So this condition requires a lot of treatment and a lot of support. So if it's left untreated, the symptoms might or most likely get worse. So if you tell a person that they should just move on from their depression, it is something that will not be helpful to them. Homosexuality is not associated with any mental health illnesses at all. Remember that.
Actually, in the past, there has been psychological studies that disprove that homosexuality is a mental illness.
There's nothing inherently wrong with not conforming to heteronormativity. What's clearly apparent about our nature as human beings is how diverse we are. Identifying as such has no direct implications with regard to our mental state. If anything, it has always been the decades long of hatred and discrimination that have impacted our safety and freedom. And understandably, these have also affected our mental health. More than anything, we do not need intervention for our gender identity and sexual orientation. What we need is collective understanding from the majority and the right to freely express and choose for ourselves without being shamed and restricted.
Hey, you should be positive all the time. No, no. Um, this is not very helpful to say, or say to someone, because mental illnesses can be serious conditions. So, and it also requires treatment. So being positive all the time can be unrealistic for some people, because mental health issues, mental health illnesses are not simple. So you can't say that.
Though being optimistic and looking at the brighter side of things is great, not all the time is it actually good for us. It makes us not process our emotions well. There's actually a concept of toxic positivity wherein we suppress our negative emotions, and it's important to acknowledge our emotions, whether it's positive or negative.
For me, pure optimism is, if anything, more idealistic, and it can even be more harmful in the long run. You do not have to think positively all the time to prove that you are mentally strong. In fact, being able to acknowledge our weaknesses and struggles is a sign that we are grounded by reality. So maybe being optimistic is not necessary to exhibit our mental strength. Our ability to adapt and self-regulate are some of the important things that must be given more emphasis instead.
Experiencing stress will ultimately lead to having a number of mental or psychological problems. Not necessarily. There's a good stress called eustress, and it actually motivates us to do better with our work. And it helps us to be productive.
But, this doesn't also negate the fact that there's also negative stress. Negative stress or distress typically leads to burnout.
Sometimes stress can be good. Can be good because it can energize us. Like, oh, I have to do this. So, even if I'm super stressed, I know that I have to do this. So I'm very energized to complete everything, complete my tasks, no? But however, it can be a problem when it lasts for a long time. This is where stress can cause mental health concerns.
This actually goes back to our very first myth. It's only a stereotype pursued by many people who do not have enough understanding about mental health. A person can be functioning and still struggle with a mental illness. That's a fact. And a person can also be a social butterfly and yet still feel alone in their struggles. As we've said many times, no one is immune to mental health issues. It is actually our predispositions and our unique experiences that make us susceptible to a variety of mental health problems.
So let's not try to generalize it this way, right? When we say like they are all low functioning and all socially withdrawn, not all of these people may have these symptoms. So it may depend on the disorder of the person. So let's just not generalize these things.
There are also those who are good in hiding their emotions. Those you wouldn't expect to have mental health issues because they always seem so cheerful and always smiling. Kaya, wag i-assume na yung mga low functioning or socially withdrawn lang ang may mental health issues. Kasi, pati yung brightest, pwedeng meron din.
Do you think we missed other misconceptions? Let us know what we missed in the comments section and share your informed thoughts about it.
Thank you so much for watching, and we hope that you learned something from us. If you enjoyed our video, please do not forget to hit the thumbs up. If you'd like to share your thoughts, just comment down below. If you want more content from us, you may subscribe and hit the bell button.